Alrighty, let us begin. Let's start off with a word of prayer. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity that you've given us to come together. I pray that you be the one who takes control. I am only human. I don't have the wisdom that you have, but I do ask that you endow me with whatever gift that I'll need for this moment, dear God. I pray that you may also endow Didinje with what she will need for the session, and may it be a fruitful session even for people that are going to watch later. I know that you have given us this work and that you will see it through. You will make sure that it is fulfilled in the best way possible. So thank you so much for who you are and for entrusting us with this, was also giving us the opportunity to go through these things and to discover more about ourselves, more about you, and more about what you have for us in this world. I pray this in your wonderful name. Amen. Alrighty. So there is actually a lot of method to the madness that goes into this program. When we begin, we really take a look back at your life, where you've been, and then we come to a place of saying what would give you peace. And this a lot of the times is informed by the experiences people had growing up, but also the things they were exposed to and the things they saw. And then in the second module, what we did was that we went through your spiritual gifts, because in this, you actually understand what you have at your disposal, or what you have in your arsenal, I guess, to be able to execute whatever the bigger purpose is. But where your spiritual gifts and your ministry come together, that reveals the what of your purpose, which is your message or your mission. So what I'll do is that, I'll go through mine as an illustration, and then I will also just then ask that you speak on yours so that we can give clarity to your particular circle. So right now, I'm going to share my screen and show you just exactly what I mean by this. So over here, you are seeing the Purpose Sweet Spots worksheet, I guess. And what you're seeing here is the ministry that I spoke about. And this ministry is basically meeting the needs. So here you're going to populate all the needs that you've identified around you, literally from the smallest need to the biggest need, no filter, no cap. Spiritual gifts is all your primary gifts and the secondary gifts that you identified as your own when you took the assessment. So where those two come together, it determines the what of your purpose. So what your message will be and what your mission will be. A lot of the times people say, my purpose is to teach. But for me, that's a bit empty, because teach what? There's so much to teach. The teaching, if that is what you really want to do, is only how you execute on the mission or how you carry out the message. There's a whole lot of other things that come into play, which is the channel and the audience, the who and the how, that make up the purpose sweet spot that is here in the middle, which is the why. So the why will capture your what, will capture your how, and the why will capture your who, in essence. So that's what we are going to be working on right now. And obviously, we're going to be going through some of the definitions, because the definitions will also help shed some light when we actually now come to unpack what the message and the mission is. So I'm going to stop sharing for now, and then we'll go through my particular example. So when I went through this, the ministry part for me, or the needs that I saw, were the following. So number one, I saw people staying stuck in cycles. And this is from my own background. I was born in a family of drunkards, of people who are really violent. The men in my family are violent towards the women in their lives, of liars and thieves, illiteracy. Literally, like, when you look at my family and when you look at the now the generation that's growing up, it's so different because of my mom, who decided to break the cycle and the decisions that she made. And I've seen this around because I live in Lokshin in Soweto. And so I've seen from household to household, even from my one side of the family and from other families that I interacted with at church, there's just this thing of people staying in staying stuck in cycles, right? So here it's because really there's a lack of vision and bad decision making. So not because people don't want to have a vision or because they intentionally want to make bad decisions, but when you're not exposed to something, you don't even know that it exists. For example, if you never had Career Expo at your school, you never really know what careers are out there and what careers exist. So it's really because people don't have this vision. They haven't been showed possibilities and they don't know how to make the best decisions for their families or their lives. Another need that I saw around me is that people were miserable in their employments. I got into corporate in 2017, absolutely hated it, and I thought I was the only one going through that. I switched careers, went into banking, like big corporates in 2018. And the rhetoric almost all the time from the young and the old is that we don't want to be here. There was anything else that we could be doing, we would definitely do it. When I started sharing my story, so many people came out of the woodworks. And I guess you were one of them too, because you're here. But a lot of people came out of the woodworks to say, damn, you're sharing my story. You're talking to me. I also don't like it here. There's something missing. I really need to get what that missing piece is. So here I understood that it's because people aren't living in their purpose. That missing piece, which was the missing piece for me, was really discovering my why, what I'm meant to do on this earth and how I'm meant to do it, for who I'm meant to do it, and what my mission or my message will be once I come to a knowledge of that purpose. And another thing I saw is that there was lack of clarity of purpose. And here it's because nobody was sharing the how. So a friend of mine actually got to a point of committing suicide because it just felt like my life is worthless. It means nothing. And a lot of people feel like that, the despair and the discouragements, and really just going on with life because there doesn't seem to be a bigger picture or a true meaning or value to what they need to do. And so these are the needs that I identified, and they were close to my heart because number one, it was my experience, but also it was how I was raised and the things I saw around me. So somebody else could be seeing things pertaining to financial situations or economic situations, political crises, or spiritual things. There's really a plethora of needs that people could see. But because of how varied our past is and because of our perspective and how different we are, the needs we will see will be completely different. So I implore you to write down what those needs are in that circle, and then we can move on to the spiritual gifts aspect. So when I did the test, my 6 spiritual gifts that came out were wisdom, teaching, knowledge, evangelist, pastor, and interpretation. So I had to really go through, like, pastor doesn't mean I have to be a pastor of a church. But when I unpacked the definitions, it actually gave me so much clarity. So for example, wisdom. The definition here is applying knowledge or information for its greater practical benefits and imparts wise counsel from God's word. This was so significant for me because remember I said that there was a lack of clarity of purpose among individuals, and it was because nobody was sharing the how. Now, the difference between knowledge and wisdom is that knowledge gives you information and wisdom says this is how you apply it. And when applying yourself to wisdom basically is knowing the steps to take. So here it says applying knowledge and information for its greater practical benefits. And for me, this gave me so much ease to know that I've actually been given the gift to apply knowledge so that it can be practically beneficial for people. People have come to me saying, we've read the purpose books, we've listened to the seminars or the podcasts and all those things, but nothing has been practical. There hasn't been a now this is what you do, or these are the steps you take. So when I learned that not only do I have the gift of knowledge, which is knowing, maybe let me just go to the definition quickly of knowledge, just so that I can be completely clear on what it is. So the definition here for knowledge is now I can't find it. EFGHI. Okay, it's like, oh, here it is. The ability God gives to certain believers to discover, analyze, and clarify information which is pertinent to the well-being of the church, and obviously understanding that the church is the individual members of God's kingdom. So ability to discover, analyze, and clarify information. And for me, I had to go on my own discovery journey, analyze all the information that I got, and now I've clarified it in what has become this program. So not only do I have this information, but I've got the ability to make it applicable practically. Another one was evangelist. Evangelist is sharing the gospel with unbelievers in such a way that they become Jesus's disciples and responsible members. So on a broader perspective, evangelist is basically an evangelist. What an evangelist does is they are able to change the minds of those who have a different perspective. So you find politicians are great evangelists because you believe one thing, they come up and because of their charisma and just the belief they have in their message, they're able to convince you of something you hadn't seen before. So mine then is to be able to share a message convincingly so that whoever didn't believe now comes to a certain belief and they are aided as a result of that. My next gift is teaching. This is instructing and communicating God's word effectively. And we know teaching also stretches beyond just sharing God's word, but being able to instruct and communicate. So my mission then, and I'm jumping the gun, but part of my mission is that I am going to be a teacher or that I am a teacher. The next one is interpretation. So interpret potentially confusing information so that others can understand and be edified. So I think when we come to the strengths bits of the program, that's where you actually be able to see the interpretation come out, because all you have is just a strength. You're a developer, but really breaking it down and being able to interpret what could be potentially confusing for people to come out saying, okay, I understand. Okay, now I've got clarity and I've been edified as a result of that. That's another one of my gifts. The last one I'm going to share on is pastor. This is basically shepherding other believers for their spiritual welfare through counseling and encouraging them to walk with Christ and discover and develop their spiritual gifts. So just thinking about all of this, there's knowledge, meaning I'm able to acquire information. And fun fact, my first name on my ID is knowledge. And then there's wisdom. So not only do I have this knowledge, but I'm able to apply that knowledge and information so that it is practically beneficial. I'm an evangelist, meaning I've got the gift of convincing people from one belief to another. Teaching is another one of my gifts. I'm able to construct and communicate the knowledge that I had and the knowledge that I have and the wisdom that I'm able to use to break it down. And being a pastor means I'm able to help people discover and develop what their gifts are. So then I looked back at the needs that I identified, right? Given the fact that knowledge, wisdom, teaching, evangelist, pastor, interpretation, the needs that I saw that people are miserable in their employment. And it's because they're not living in their purpose. There's a lack of clarity of purpose because nobody's sharing the how. But I've got the gift of wisdom. I've got the gift of teaching. So I can get them the how. I can get them to how they can get to whatever their purpose is that will get them out of their misery. People staying stuck in cycles, that's another mission that I'm yet to accomplish. But even with the construct that I have now, a cycle that a lot of people get stuck in is they hate their job and they jump from one job to another, or they move from one team to another, really not knowing what it is they need to do. They stay stuck in the loop of I hate it here, toxic environments, whatever. And it's only because they don't have the bigger picture or the vision, and they aren't making the best decisions for themselves professionally. So given all of this, then I thought, okay, these are my gifts and these are the needs I've identified. What message do I know that I can evangelize, or what is the one thing I can say, or the one thing that I can really carry out into the world that is going to be a stepping stone and bring about the revolution or the change that I anticipate to see, or that I believe is true. And that then became the cornerstone for Purpose Practitioners Club, which is Ecclesiastes 3 verse 22. And in your case, you can look to the Bible with all the needs that you've identified, right? You can look at what God actually says about an ideal world where that particular need is concerned. It doesn't have to be in the Bible. You can literally be reading books, something like the 5 a.m. Club, right? The message by Robin Sharma is that if you wake up at 5 in the morning, you have a better chance of controlling your day and being a more disciplined person. That is his message. It may be from the Bible, or it may be something that he's experienced or something that he's seen from those around him. But that became his message, and he is carrying out that message in books, in courses, in YouTube videos, whatever that is. But that is his message because he believes in the philosophy of the 5 a.m. club. Our philosophy here at Purpose Practitioners Club is Ecclesiastes 3, verse 22. Nothing is better than that a man should find joy in the work that he does. Remember, the need in the ministry section was misery in their employment. So now the message that I know and that I've come to believe and that I'm evangelizing is that nothing is better than for men to find joy in the work that they do, because that is their heritage. So the message then is, you guys, your heritage is to find joy in the work that you do. And that joy can only be found if you align your purpose to your profession. So that is my message. That is the what that I'm carrying out there. And my mission then becomes to gather information, to make this information practically beneficial, to teach this information, to evangelize this message, and to make sure that people understand it, to interpret it in a way that people understand it. But what the underlying mission is that pastor gift that I have to help them discover and develop their spiritual gifts. So literally how it all comes together is I don't only have information in the form of knowledge or wisdom to make it practical or the gift of teaching, but my mission really is to make sure that I help people discover and walk in what those gifts are and what that purpose is. So this is basically the illustration of how you bring everything together. Based on what your needs are and what your gifts are, you're then able to say, okay, what is the belief that I believe people need to subscribe to? What is the ideal world that is the opposite of what is going on now? What would give me peace with regards to the need that I have identified? And once you've got that, then you say, what are the gifts that I have? So those gifts will inform what your mission become, but your conviction or your belief will inform what your message becomes that will help people out of this crisis. So essentially, that's the bit, and that's how I want you to think about coming to what your message and your mission is. So what books have you read? What does the Bible say? What is God saying to you? And because you've identified it as a problem or as an issue or as a need, it means intrinsically or something within you tells you that there is a better way. There's a better way of life. There's a better way of doing. There's a better way of viewing, but there is a better way. So what is your belief about that better way? And what are some of the things you've learned and experienced that can help substantiate what your belief is? So what will be your message? And you can reference back to what does God say about this, or what do experts and authorities say about this that can be trusted, that have tried it and that have proven it. So that's basically how I want you to think about this and how I want you to get to your mission and your message. So right now, I am actually in a position where we can go through your particular one. And once we unpack that, then maybe your message or your mission will be clearer. But also remember, when we spoke about crafting your purpose story, there were some exercises that I put in there, like 5 questions or so that you needed to fulfill, as in asking, doing the research and asking the questions. And when you actually do that research and ask those questions, it also informs your belief and your conviction and further informs what your mission will be. So right now I'll stop talking about myself and I'll stop this illustration and come to you to actually help you unpack what your message and your mission is. If you're open to that, I am happy to take you through it. Have I been clear? Have you understood?
Yeah, I understood what you said. I think maybe to reiterate, what you're saying is that basically you need to look at what your needs are, and then you need to look at the spiritual gifts that you have, and then see how you kind of align the two together.
Yep. Or maybe not even aligned, but based on the needs that you've identified, how do your spiritual gifts, or how will your spiritual gifts enable you in meeting those needs, or in assisting in alleviating some of the, I guess, adverse results or effects of that need?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't have my spiritual gifts here with me. I changed my phone and stuff. But I think uh, and I did this a while back for me. So what I think is happening with me, my main thing is I think I know what I want to do, but I'm kind of stuck. Like I'm not, I don't know if it's fear or what else there is, but I really I know like that I enjoy entrepreneurship, and that it's something that really just speaks to my soul, you know. So, but I think what I was struggling with, what I'm struggling with is how exactly what I can't entrepreneurship is very like big, you know. I want to know like what specifically I want to do. I know I want to be in property, and I've kind of started that since we last chatted. So yeah, I think I maybe I want to be like diverse in that, but not too diverse where like I'm everywhere. So I
100%,
think just
100%.
almost
The
like
riches and
is it
the niches, they
yeah, almost
say.
like coming everything together. Yeah, something like that. So that is kind of what I struggle with. And I'll go back and I'll do the spiritual gifts test again, and then just see like at that scale what I can like come up with, because I think maybe that could help. Yeah.
Loving it so much. But what was your pull to perhaps entrepreneurship and even to the property markets? What were you seeing that pulled you to that space? Are there any specific needs that you identified, or any specific narratives you want to change in that space? What was your pull towards it?
So my pull towards it was really I think I initially it was I just wanted to be in the property space, and I thought, okay, let me see how I can be different towards what other people are doing, especially in the township space, right? But then when the pandemic happened, I realized that a lot more people are kind of moving back home or minimizing their expenses. So there's no need to be renting in Sandton now because you're literally working from home, you know? So now it's all about making the home space a bit more comfortable wherever it is, you know, and kind of drilling down that, okay, if you're going to be staying in wherever you stay, almost like I think a lot of people what they experience when they're staying in the township is the network issue, you know. So how do you make sure that when you're having that property, you're also looking at those other things, you know, you're also looking at the ESCOM issue, you know. So kind of being innovative with what you have, and making that space quite comfortable, but also like a good working environment as well.
Chanel.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what is driving me right now. And yeah,
Listen,
I
meaning I'm your
and I
target
think
market. I'm your target market because I worked in Sandton. I live in the township,
yeah,
and my home was never prepared for working from home. Like,
yeah.
absolutely not prepared. I work in my bedroom. I have a small table. I took a kitchen chair. I I don't know. I don't know how to make the space a workable space. So that is so key.
Yeah, so that's what I was looking at, because I was also I also had the same issue where I'm like, you just work, and you know I'm one of those people, I like working in a noisy area, so going to the restaurant every day and not really practical. But yeah, so yeah, I'm just kind of working on that. And what I've started is I've kind of like done I've done rental rooms. I've done three I started with three, and then what I
Please tell
want
me
to
more.
do is
This
I
is
want
so
to
exciting. Lalela, you need to know. Listen to me now. I'm getting excited because I'm literally your target market. I need you to understand this. So I want to know how you can help me. Here's my problem, right? Let me tell you. I work in my room. So let's
Yeah.
say I'm a potential client and we can run through this thing. I work in
Yeah.
my bedroom. There is space outside our yard, right? I
Yeah.
can literally include my room outside. I've toyed with the idea of making one of those rooms my office, but I've also toyed with the idea of pushing my bedroom to be a bit bigger so that I can accommodate some office apparatus or some office equipment. But like, I don't know. So that's me. Like, this is me. I worked in Sensen, I work in Lokshini. Speak to me.
I think I will have to have like a deeper conversation. So for some people, the bedroom and the office being in one space is a total no-no, you know, because you almost want to differentiate between when you're at work and when you're resting and chilling, you know. So I would go with the idea, personally for me, but if it works for you, then it's fine. But you can go with the idea of building the office area outside. But then we need to work, which is something I'm still working on, is the connection part of it and having network, like having proper network that doesn't get irritated or anything like that, you know? So I think that is, because, you know, if you have your laptop and your network, like that's the biggest thing you need. The others will work on later.
Yeah. What work have you been doing? What have you started or been getting up to?
So what I've been doing is I've been trying to I looked up for like different network options. So your fiber, but fiber, if you're in a auction, they just say no, it's coming, and we don't know when that is coming is. So I think the next step I need to do is go talk to the network, the tele network guys, and find out from them like what is workable in this area, you know, because they can't be making it only in certain areas. Like gone are those days. We need to have it everywhere. We working everywhere is home, literally, you know. And also getting to the rural areas now, that's gonna be another problem on its own. But yeah, that's that's what I've been working in thus far.
Wow. So you mentioned something about rental rooms. You didn't continue
Mhm.
that train of thought.
So that those rental rooms, what I'm trying to do is like make them work from home, work from wherever friendly. So what I've done is I've put in, it's still a work in progress. I've put in, so it's just a very, well, decent sized room. It's got your own in shower and your own bathroom inside because obviously COVID, we don't want to be sharing and stuff. And then also I've put in like a kitchen unit with a gas stove. So if you don't have electricity or something, you know, you're sorted in that way. So now the biggest thing that I'm working with is the network issue. That is the big work in progress.
So have you done this for yourself? Like, are you talking about something you did in your own home? Or is
Yes,
this like
I've
plans
done.
you've put together?
No, I've done this in my own home. So it's almost like a pilot project. And then after that, we'll see where we're doing.
So do you want to be part of the development of the project, or do you want to consult, like be a person who like Umpumi has come to you now to say this, that, and the other, and you are able to give me like consultation advice on the options that I have, which one do you believe would see you would want to do and enjoy most?
I think I would enjoy both. But I'm because now like I'm literally almost doing both, right? So I'm consulting on myself almost, right? And I'm also having my friends just help me, okay, would this work for you? Would this not work for you? So I'm kind of, like I said, it's like the dummy project of understanding where would I fit best, right? But I also like the development side. It's a bit stressful, but I kind of enjoyed because I'm just like, okay, I see progress, I'm happy, you know?
So
So
what
yeah, it's
role
one
in
of
the
those.
developments, what role are you playing in that space? Because I know there are plans needed, there are constructors needed, or like I'm a builder. So what role would you be playing in the developments part of it?
So I'm doing this with my husband, and what we've done is we both trying to figure out like So we kind of know our strengths and weaknesses, right? So he's doing some of the stuff. So I think I would be based in the consultant role, what I see so far. And I would like I know like I would oversee things like just to manage it from that perspective. But from developing like the actual management of the project, yeah, I think that's something he's more good at than I am. But I'm also learning in what needs to be done and how do you do certain things, you know? So yeah, that's the nice part.
This is so genius. I'm so excited. I'm excited to get to see I'm the one that's doing it. But one thing that I would really implore you to do is write that ministry bubble. What are the needs? Like literally put yourself, but you are in the shoes anyway of somebody who experienced that. But write what the needs are. For example, worked in the urban areas and now had to start working from home. What the frustrations are. And actually not last week, 2 weeks back, the coaching session was literally around this, like the purpose story. It's what are the problems? What caused the problems? What are the possible solutions? And so listing all those things down and then coming down to now there's network issues, there's electricity issues, space issues, separating or creating boundaries between work and home because already work has invaded our lives. It's already a lot that we're working from home. Now to work in your bedroom is also a different story. So literally all those needs, all those problems, all those issues, and then go to the spiritual gifts because I'd be very, very interested to see literally how those gifts of yours can enable you in what you've already seen as your strength and your weakness or whatever it is you're trying to do. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's like I'm the one who's taking up this project. Yeah. So it's
Yeah, I'm
great
also
that we're doing this foundational work because as we keep moving forward, they're going to be like, then what is the business model you're going to operate in? How are you going to create awareness around this? Who are you actually targeting? Because the truth is, you're not going to be everyone's person. And if you're going to be strong or like an expert or specialist in a field, then it's got to be a particular group of people, whether it
yeah.
is people who move back literally from Santon to Soweto or whatever it looks like. So we're going to unpack all those things and then what your business model will be, how you can actually structure it, what packages you're going to have, what the value add is going to be. So you could literally be, the one thing is just to consult, and then the next thing we could look into your development, whatever it looks like, that entire array. So I'm happy that you've got an idea. It's just now we need to structure it and package it very nicely so that you can start on something and have a brand that you actually build on. And I could be your first client. Who knows?
Okay, cool.
But this is so excited. There's lights and it's making me very happy. So do those two things and let's actually see. But in this week, we have to have a one-on-one coaching call or one-on-one check-in. So once you've done these, then we can speak on it a bit more.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I think Thursday.
Okay, no, we can have the call on Thursday. I have no problem with that. We'll just work around the time.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. And another conviction I'm coming to is that what strengthens a marriage, and if you listen to my podcast, you know this bit, but what strengthens a marriage is if there's a common purpose that's tying them together. So I got so excited when you mentioned that you're doing this with your husband because it's going to strengthen the bond in ways you can never imagine. Of course, there'll be conflicts because you're different people, but fundamentally, it's going to work wonders. So I got very excited when I heard you say that.
Thank you.
Alrighty. I am going to leave you to it then and leave you to a brilliant evening.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Let me work on this somewhere.
Bye.
Okay, bye.